Shalom everyone, Shavua Tov, Parashat VaYishlah. Okay, this is tough. And you can find Parashat VaYishlah in Genesis 32, just verse 4. Okay? Kind of a really dramatic story. And in the last parasha, we hear about Jacob leaving his home, going to Haran, on the way having this ladder dream, Jacob's ladder dream. Then over there he gets married with 4 sisters from the same father, Leah, Rachel, and 2 maids, and having 11, really 12 children. Making money, getting out of Lavan, his father-in-law and uncle, and he's on his way back. He's in the gates of the promised land. That's where we leave him last week. Okay? Suspense. Now, remember, he left his home because his brother wanted to kill him. Okay? So the story is, what are we doing right now? And then the story is in verse, as we said, VaYishlach Yaakov Malachim. The name of the parasha is VaYishlach, and he sent. What did he send? Malachim. There's a double meaning, the word Malachim. Malach means in Hebrew an angel, means also a messenger. Okay? And you will see that both are right. We're talking this issue with the angels is the main issue of the whole parasha. The angels. Let's see what angels. VaYishlach Yaakov Malachim, and Jacob is sending those messengers, angels, to Esau, his brother, and he says, to the land of Seir Sde Edom. Edom. Geographically, it's known today, the area which is in south of Jordan, of today, the kingdom of Jordan, the area which is known as Petra, the red rock. Okay? Edom means in Hebrew, red. Okay, what do we get from there? That Esau lives across the Dead Sea and south of it. That's his country. He has no claim for the promised land. What does that mean to us? We'll see. This is really tremendously important. And what does it mean? It means also that he's not in the area. Where is Yitzchak living right now? Where's the home that Jacob is returning to in Hebron? Okay, Hebron is on the other side. Okay, it's in the mountain ridge of Israel, while Edom is a mountain ridge that is east of the Jordan Valley. So why does Jacob have to send messengers to Esau? Why did he have to wake the whole feud up? Esau gave up. He doesn't want the country. He doesn't want the inheritance of Abraham and Isaac. He already moved out across the Jordan. Why irritating that? And then the Zohar says, when you are spiritual, when you are strong, you're not procrastinating. You have an issue, you have the time, solve it. Especially when Dad is still alive. When Isaac is still alive, hit on it when you have the best chances to fix it. Wrong calculation, but also you don't want just to go home, sit in Hebron, be at home, while every night you go to sleep and you have no idea, well, will Esau attack tonight or not? Right? You want to deal with that right now. Very important idea, because we all tend to procrastinate. And when do we do that? When we are not at our best. Right? When we are full of flight and energy and we're doing our best, we just fix things and we just do that, and away with it. Right? Jacob comes with it, he's energized. The first thing, he wants to deal with the issue that got him out of the country in the first place. Okay? So he's sending that mission to Esau. But again, what's the story with the angels? What's the angels doing over here? Again, angels. Okay? And the story is like this. We read it just at the beginning of the Zohar, and the Zohar explains this. And Jacob is sending angels, and Rabbi Yehuda opens his quoting from Psalms 91, verse 11. כי מלאכיו יצווה לך לשמורך מכל רע. Because he's going to send his angels to guard you from בכל דרכיך, in all your ways. Which means we're talking about guardian angels. Okay? And the Zohar says we have to understand that. The friends already explained that, but we have to go deeper because connecting to that issue of this very powerful story of Parashat VaYishlah. כי בשעה שאדם בא לעולם, when a person is born, מיד היצר הרע בא עמו. The evil inclination comes with him immediately, as it says, לפתח חטאת רובץ, which means, this is a quote, very famous quote, from Genesis 4, verse 7, the sin lies at the opening. What's the opening? The opening of the womb. The moment the baby comes out, poof, the evil inclination
waiting at the corner.
Is not waiting, gulps you in. Well, when your baby, it says that when a baby is, before his baby, as a fetus in his mother's womb, he has no yetzer hara. He can see the whole universe. He has no limitation. He sees all the secrets. When he was born, just the moment he's born, comes the angel, does that, forget everything. Very rarely you have babies who didn't forget, but that messes up their lives. Okay, you forget it, and now the evil inclination comes in, which is an angel. It's a force, and his job is Yetzer hara. His job is to be Satan. Satan in Hebrew means to disturb. Satan is a Hebrew word. The verb Satan, leastin baderech, means to disturb. To disturb, okay? Why do you need to re-disturb? Because if you want to connect to the light, you have to overcome obstacles. No obstacles, which means no pain, no gain. Okay, no free lunches. How are you going to pay for lunch? You have to overcome an obstacle. Okay, no pain, no gain. Okay. So what is but the word that is being used over here is chatat. Chatat means the evil inclination. Chatat means also the whole thing about sinning. Because why do somebody sin? Why do we sin? We sin because the dark side took over us. Which dark side? Our own dark angel. And every person has that dark angel. Okay? Now, the question is like this. And that comes to verse 2. King David also called him Chatat, Dichtiv. That's another verse. Psalms 51:5. Vechatati negdi tamid. My chatat has to be in front of me always. Just a second. It says also, Veshiviti Hashem lenegdi tamid. I have to imagine the name of God in front of me all the time. Youdkevitch. So which one of them is right? So, right?
Yeah.
And the answer we can find, in the Shema. After Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. Okay? And V'ahavta et Hashem Elokecha. And you should love the Lord your God. Bechol levavcha. With all your hearts. If it was your heart, it would bechol libcha. It doesn't say bechol libcha. Levavcha with two hearts. What two hearts? We have both. We have the heart that belongs to the dark side. We have the heart that belongs to the light side. You have the true self and you have the dark side. But the dark side is not totally dark. VaYishlah makes it much easier. There's no entity that is called the dark side. Many people mistaken that. They think there are two entities in the world. There is God, the light, whatever, and there is Satan, the dark side. Two authorities. Just to remind you, we are monotheist. Monotheist would mean how many authorities? Only one. So where is the dark side? What's the place of the dark side? The dark side is, as Rabbi VaYishlah teaches us and makes it so clear, the desire to receive for the self alone. Okay? Which means the light, which is the only authority, created the vessel, which is the desire to receive, which is us. However, as we learned it before, that when the desire to receive is active only to itself alone, it cuts off the light. And then it becomes dark. Not because it's an entity of darkness, but because it cuts itself away from the light, and the absence of the light is not an entity, but we feel it as an entity, but it's not. The moment you transform it into the desire to receive for the sake of sharing, then it serves you. So when he says, and you love the Lord your God with all your hearts, both hearts, with the heart of sharing and loving and caring, and with the heart of desiring. But now, you already transformed it. You already transformed it. Now that you transformed it, now you have both angels working for you. I'll give you another example. It says, the Midrash is saying, a person comes home Friday night. It's Shabbat. Already after Shabbat sets in, and you're coming home, you went to the synagogue, you didn't go to the synagogue, doesn't matter. You come home, Shabbat is here, nightfall is after, and you're coming home, and then there's a beautiful table covered with white cloth, candles are burning, there's food on the table, waiting for Shabbat, and you sing, Shalom Aleichem Malachei Asher. You sing to the angels. Which angels? Those two angels. Now, if the house is full with Shabbat, the two angels bless you. May you have a beautiful Shabbat and a beautiful week. The two angels, both angels. Which angel? He's a dark one. No, he's not a dark one. He's a dark one when you give him, you empower him to be dark. It's only your free will to choose. However, if you come home and there's no Shabbat table, there's no white cloth on the table, there are no candles burning, it's just like regular day. Both angels put their hands on your head and they curse you. Angel, because you didn't do anything to lift yourself up from the physical world. You have an opportunity once a week. You don't have, whatever you do, put a white cloth on the table, light candles before Shabbat, and then, put challah on the table. It's like how tough it is. And you just get a blessing. How tough, it's not so hard, and you didn't do that even. What do you want? Okay? You'll have now to deal with stuff that to overcome because you're sleeping. You're sleeping. You're not doing anything. And that's why King David said, yes, on one hand, you have to put the light in front of you and you have to visualize the name of God all the time because you're here, you got up in the morning. And it says in the Shulchan Aruch, in the book of Jewish law, it was written by, the most famous is the Shulchan Aruch, written by Rabbi Yosef Karo, who was an in-law with Rizal, with Rabbi Ezekloria. And that's it. It says that as you wake up, poof, just you are on a mission. And King David said, but you have also to put in front of you your sin, your dark side. It's there. You're not aware it's there. You're not aware there's a fight. You lost the fight before it even started because it creeps on you. And before you know it, you are done. Okay? And, okay, so as you're born, you have this Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination. You have this like desire to receive, which is desire to receive for the self alone. Okay? From the moment you're born. So, and then says the Zohar, verse 3. Umatay Adam baliter. So when is the person starting to purify himself? When he's 13. For girls, it's the first day of the 13th year, where they celebrate 12th. For boys, it's the day after the 13th birth. It's the day of the 13th birthday. Okay? So only now the person is having both angels, one on the right, one on the left. Yetzer Hara Tov Bayamin, the good inclination on the right. Yetzer Hara Basmol, and the evil inclination on the left. ואלו הם שני מלאכים אמונים ממש that. These are two angels we are talking about. The whole parasha is about dealing with these two angels. והם נמצאים מאדם תמיד. They are with a person always. Always. Okay, so, continue. Verse 4. Ate barna shidaka. So the person wants to purify himself. So when you overcome the evil inclination, you really work hard and you put all you get in order to transform yourself into being of, desire to receive, but in order to share and to give, then you superimpose over the Yetzirah, the evil inclination, the good inclination, and then the evil inclination, you convert it to become kosher. It serves for you. Why? Here's the left side. In order to achieve something, don't you need a big ego? You want to change the world. Really, you want to make the world better. But I'm no one. I'm nothing. I don't have an ego. What? You're useful as a plastic cup after it was used already. You're just like you're on the way. Right? You are like in the, how do you call it? It's a pollution. The world is full of pollution. A lot of people that are standing there on the way, and whenever somebody's trying, but what do you think you are? You really want to change the world? Many people try, don't even start. With friends like this, you don't need enemies. Okay, they just always rain on your parade, and as I said, and those people that think they don't have ego, that's the biggest ego. I don't have an ego. Oh, either you're dead or you're lying, right? And the ego already took over, you don't even realize that. Oh, because you're never trying to reveal any light. So when a person comes to purify himself, how? You have to be aware that you have a desire to receive for the self alone. And you have to be on duty. Is that easy? The toughest thing in the world. Everybody wants a vacation. Every few minutes we want a vacation, right? You're starting to fight, you're tired again. Okay? You need the engine, you need the zest, you need the desire, you need the fire of, let's do it already. That's a desire to receive. That's ego. Okay? You need to harness that ego if you want to really make a difference in your life. Okay? You have to harness the ego, not eliminate it. Eliminate this table, does not have an ego. He's an angel. He will never hurt anyone. Not purposely. He's serving his purpose, but that's a table. The table will never give anything out of his way to make the world better. Just the table is there. I'm doing my best. I'm being a table. These kind of people will never make the world better. Okay? And each one of us has that option to become that. But the problem is, the moment you don't overcome your desire to receive for the self alone, you do not overcome the ego and harness it, you become a smith, if you've seen The Matrix. You become an agent of darkness, and you're not even aware of it. You're just poisoned, and you can't see that you're an agent of negativity. Because you think you're already finished, you're already perfect. Whatever you think, that must be real, must be good. Because as King David is saying, you have to see your sin in front of you all the time and fight it. Fight it not by denying it, but transforming it. Okay? So, what's the connection over here? The story goes on. And we have this weird story that as he's entering the Holy Land, he's just entering the Holy Land, the Promised Land, he's sending those messengers to Esau to tell him, I'm home, let's meet. And the first thing he says, he's sending those messengers, and Vayitzav, we are just in chapter 32 in Genesis, verse 5. Vayitzav lemor, he orders them, so you will say to my master Esau, Ko amar avdecha, so said your slave Yaakov. Im Lavan garti v'aychar adata. I lived with Lavan till today. I delayed till now, 20 years. Vayihili, and I had, verse 6, show an ox, chamor, a donkey, tzon, flocks, eved, a slave, veshivcha, a maiden. All in single. Okay? What? Why not in plural? VaYishlah להגיד לאדוני למצוא חן בעיניך, and I'm sending to tell my master because I want to find grace in your eyes. Which means, it's very nice, you know, we had a fight. I want you to love me. You know, let's meet and be brothers again. וישוב המלאכים אל יעקב, the messengers coming back to Yaakov, לאמור באנו אל אחיך אל עשיו, we came to your brother. You think he changed? No, he's the same עשיו. וגם הולך לקראתך, is coming to welcome you, ו400 איש עמו, and 400 men, warriors, with him. It's a war. And Yaakov had 4 wives and 12 children. Whoa. והיה יעקב מאוד, and Yaakov got really scared. ויצר לו, and he's stressed out. Normal. ויחץ את העם אשר איתו, ואת הצאן ואת הבקר והגמלים לשני מחנות. He divides, he splits everything he has into 2 camps. And he puts a day walk between them. If Esau hits one, the other will run away. Which is also, how would they run away? They're warriors. They can, you know, chase after the second camp. ויאמר יעקב, and then Jacob prays. אלוהי אבי אברהם ואלוהי אבי יצחק. The God of my father Abraham, the God of my father Isaac. Adonai אומר אליי, the Lord who tells me, go back to your land. God, you told me to come back. I'm just doing what you tell me. And I'll do good with you. You told me that. קטונתי מכל החסדים, מכל האמת. I don't deserve all the grace that you did to me, for me till today. All the truth came out. I worked really hard. Lavan tried to cheat me. He couldn't. I came out richer. I came when I crossed the Jordan River, I had only my staff. Now I have 2 camps. Let's say big camps. So first of all, he's thanking. And that's, the Zohar says, teaching us that we have to pray. Okay? And you have to learn how to pray. First of all, you have to you know, who do you pray to? Who do you pray to? And the second is, be thankful. Because if you're not thankful, how can you ask for anything? Because only when you're thankful, you can really believe inside yourself that you can get something. If you're not thankful, you just start with a complaint. Right? So, if everything is terrible, so what do you want from God? That's pagan gods. You don't pray for them to help you. You just try to run away, to avoid them, or to appease them by giving sacrifice. Okay? What means sacrifice? It has to be painful. It has to hurt. Why? Because when the gods see that you're hurting, say, oh, he's hurting already, leave him alone. Terrible psychology. It's a victim psychology. You know, we were not created to be victims. We're created to be God, in His image, to imitate Him and to connect to Him by the law of affinity. Correct? So you have to be with grace and thankfulness in order to draw in more miracles. So before you ask, you have to be thankful for all what you've got. So you say, oh, I've got so much and I don't think I deserve it. So you know what? Where it came from, there's more. And then ask, and you know what you ask for. Just be precise. Okay, Hatzilenina, save me. From my father, from my brother, from Esau. Because I'm afraid. He can kill the mothers and the children and the sons. And you promised me. You're going to, you know, I'm going to do good with you. And it's like, who is Jacob trying to convince? It's convincing God. The purpose of the prayer is to change God or to change myself. Right? You know, God, He says, you had me by hello. Okay? You know, what do you want? My son, my child. What do you think the Zohar says I got you scared? So you get out of your cocoon and you ask finally to move on to the next level. Remember last week? You need to have a quantum leap. How? When everything is nice, you think it's nice. You know, sit over here. It's not too bad. Let's say you're Canadian. It's not too bad. You know, when it's going to be that bad, we're going to ask, well, no, I don't need to, you know, it's not that. Why should I bother God? So, you need to get between the iron and the hard place in order okay, God, oh, finally you are asking. You know, the necessity is the mother of all invention. Comfortable people never change the world. Right? Only hurting, hungry people who want it all. They change the world. Okay? And then see what happens. After the prayer, verse 14. Vayalan sham balayla hu, so they camped over there to sleep. And before that, he took for whatever he had in, and he's sending Esau as follows. That's a list. Izim 220 200 goats and 20 he-goats. Do you know how much that cost? It's a lot of money. You know, in the ancient times, that was almost the only commodity. Right? Goats. 200 goats, even today, that's a lot of money. Is that all? No. Rechelim 220. 200 sheep and 20 rams. That's a lot of money. Gmalim menikot uvneim 30. No, it's not over yet. Okay? Camels, female camels feeding with the little ones. Okay? That's 30. Okay? 30 of them. Parot 40, 40 cows. Parim 10 and 10 oxen. Atonot 20 female donkeys. Vayarim 10 and 10 babies of donkeys. Vaiten, we are talking about a fortune of few million shekels of today. The worth of that, you know, you can buy an apartment. Okay, or maybe in the north, I don't know. Not in the center of Tel Aviv or Manhattan, but you can buy an apartment in the suburbs. Okay? Vaiten beyad avadav, he gives to his servants, Eder, he divides them into flocks. Separates them, and he says to his servants, Yivu lefanai revach tasimu, you just come one by one and bring it to Esau and say, each one of you, to say, Shelcha lemo, if you ask you, who are you? Who do you belong to? Where do you go? V'amarta lavdecha leYaakov, it belongs to your slave Jacob. And this is a present, minchai shlucha ladoni, that is sent from Jacob to his master Esau. V'nei gamu acharenu, and he's coming behind us. Okay, so he wants to appease Esau. He's sending, the impact is one gift, another gift, and it's like accumulating. Okay? And he says, verse 21, V'amartem gam hinei avdecha Yaakov acharenu ki amar, because he said, Achapra fanav b'mincha. I will atone with a gift. You know, a lot of people, when you give them gifts, they get appeased. Okay? Especially if the impact is big and the show is big. So people say, you know, he gave me so much, you know. You can give me more. If I kill him now, what am I going to get out of it? Okay? Ulai sapanai, maybe. Okay. But the Zohar says, Jacob is playing over here again. Because in the Middle East of today, like in the Middle East of then, when you're weak and you give somebody gifts, you just make him more hungry. Didn't Jacob know that? Of course he knew that. So the Zohar says he's playing here a dirty trick. He says, remember, the message he sends to Esav, I lived with Lavan for 20 years. And I had, you didn't remember what we said? An ox, didn't say oxen.
What?
A donkey, didn't say donkeys. Okay? What was that? The Zohar says these are the 4 levels of the dark forces. Why? Lavan was known, everybody knew that, says the Zohar, that Lavan is the biggest magician of the dark forces in the world. Not just he didn't kill Jacob. Jacob comes out of there with 4 wives, 12 children, and so much fortune, dazzling fortune in the numbers of those days. Hundreds and hundreds of cattle, flocks, goats, and stuff like this. And he did, so what he's saying over there, the text is, I want to atone, please take my gift and forgive me. The subtext is, see how much I got from Lavan. If I got out of Lavan with so much, and Lavan never gave to anyone, I am a magician like Lavan, and a little bit stronger even. Be aware. Okay? Only when you show off how strong you are, you create retaliation. You create dignity. So Yaakov is playing, and what do you do with that? When you have an enemy, you have to show power. And the Zohar says, and that all the Midrashim are saying, he's doing the 3 things a person has to do when he is getting such an obstacle in his life. It's a threat. The whole project of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob could go down in a second right now. Okay? So he's preparing for Doron, gifts, Tefillah, prayer, and he's ready for war, Milchama. He's doing. So he's sending the gifts, but he's saying the gift, don't get an appetite because, but he doesn't say it. It's all in subtext. You see, that's all of that is for you. Please forgive me. But on the other hand, the subtext is, but be careful. I'm very powerful. If I got out of Lavan, I'm very powerful. And that's a very powerful thing. Why? Because when you have somebody that you have to deal with, the first tactic is to get him puzzled. To get him not in a place he has no idea who's facing. And he did it. Esav is puzzled. On one hand, he's like, wow, this guy is so much afraid of me. I'll eat him up. Because he's weak, he's giving, he's giving, he's giving, just give me the appetite to finish him off. But then, how did he get all of this from Lavan? And he said he has that. So he can kill me with his curses. If he could get all of that from Lavan, he's more powerful than Lavan, and there's no one in the Middle East that is not afraid of the witchcraft of Lavan. That's exactly what Jacob did. He's not just nicey-nicey. He's showing strength. That's exactly why he is called Yaakov. Remember? What's the shoresh of the word Yaakov? Akev. Akev is the heel. What's the heel? It's that part of the human body that touches the ground all the time. Yes, it's very nice to be Abraham, giving and sharing and caring and loving the whole world. You know what it reminds me always? Those characters from Dickens. Oh, they're so nice, so hypocrite. He can't just be there on the sharing and giving. You're human. You were created to receive. You have interest, right? And anyone who says he has no interest, he will be lying about other things too, right? And that is about Isaac. And Isaac is about the left side. And the left side means not just I need and I desire and I am, and the Creator created me to receive. That's called Gvura. But Gvura is wrongly translated into judgment. Because Gvura is not judgment. Gvura is something much bigger than judgment. Gvura is from the word Leitgaber, to overcome. In order to overcome, you need to, and how do you call somebody who's mitgaber, that is powerful? Gibor, a hero. It's all in the word world. What's a gibor? Somebody who has so much power, he can fight. He doesn't give up. That cannot be contained in the word judgment. Right? It's about power. It's force. Every human being has that force. What do you do with that force? Running after money, running after food, running after bodily pleasure, or you use that to overcome your bodily needs because you want something bigger. You want spiritual force. You want the real force, not the fake one. Because how much can you eat before you feel horrible about yourself? How much money can you have till you're happy? It's never enough. Whatever you have, it's never enough. Why? When it's only the money, when it's only the food, when it's only just the physical body fulfillment, it's a fake. It's fake fulfillment. You need to bring it down to reality. That's why you need Jacob. Jacob knew how to do that. How to pull all of these strings and to juggle with all these forces inside. That's why Yaakov is this physical manifestation. As Rabbi VaYishlah is saying, you have a question in Kabbalah. And you're not so much into Kabbalah. You don't know so much. So you go to this great Kabbalist and you ask him the question. He gives you an answer. If you didn't understand, that Kabbalist didn't understand either. You need to know how to bring it down to earth. That's what Yaakov, to the heel, where it touches the ground and it can be practiced. Useful. That's Yaakov. So Yaakov is juggling. He's not this nice guy sitting in a cave and just breathing and he's with harmony with the whole world. Oh, and that is spirituality. No, this is not spirituality. This is fake. Spirituality is to live, get married, raise children, make a business, earn, spend, dealing with people, disguising yourself as a rock, as a plant. That's not spiritual. That's not spiritual. Being spiritual is manifesting all of these ideas while doing what everybody else is doing. But doing it with an extra soul. When you eat with extra soul. When you have a family with an extra soul. Bringing in, down to this world, those ideas and manifesting them in. So that's why, according to the Torah, there is nothing that is physical that is disgrace. Money, work, family, sex, richness, power, politics, nothing is wrong. Everything is great when you bring in those ideas and you manifest them. Is it easy? The hardest thing in the world. But this is why we're here. We are here to impose the upper world down here to this physical world. To make it practical, this is Jacob. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. However, there's a turn in the story. Okay? What did he say? Jacob is praying. He's preparing for a war. He's sending the gifts. He's also playing with Esau's mind. If you start to play with your enemy's mind, you're winning. The war, any war, is 90% psychological, only 10% physical. Sometimes 99% psychological. Okay? It's all about the spirit. Okay? Now, and then it says that Jacob passed the river Yabok, which is the whole secret in Kabbalah, was Yabok 112, which is Elohim, judgment, with Youdkevitch, the tetragrammaton. 86 plus 26 gives you 112. Okay? He passed the river. He knows how to juggle between mercy, love, kindness, sharing, and judgment. That's Jacob. He delivers the whole camp. but there are a few jars left. Goes over there, and then he meets that man, and he struggles with that man the whole night. That's a fight of Jacob and the angel of darkness. Who is this angel of darkness? This is the angel of Esau. Okay? The angel cannot win because Jacob is full, complete. He's shalem. However, the morning comes and the angel has to leave, and Jacob will say, you're not leaving till you bless me. And the angel says, your name is not Jacob anymore. Your name is Israel. Because you, Israel comes from the word, you struggled with God, you struggled with forces, and you win. This is Israel. Okay? But he's still being named Jacob. So what's happening over here? Finally, and this is the peak of the story. Finally, he meets Esau. And there the story that the Torah is telling us, when he sees Esau, we're in chapter 33, verse 1, 2, 3, and so on. And he prepares the whole camp to meet with Esau. Okay? And then it says in verse 3, Vehu avar lifneim, and he passed before them, and he bowed down 7 times till he approached his brother. Okay? I'm translating to English. Vayaratz Esav likato, and Esau runs towards Jacob. Vayichabkeu, and he hugs him. Vayipol al tzalarav, and it's like neck to neck. Vayishakeu, and he kissed him. Vayivku, and they cried. Vayisait anav, and there's a debate. Did they really kiss and hug? Was it fake? Was it real? Let's read the Zohar. Because one of the biggest turns in the history of mankind happened at that moment, according to the Zohar. Okay, and the Zohar says like this. Okay. The Zohar says like this. We have to remember, who was Esau? He was a son of Isaac and Rivka. Mm-hmm. Would you think that such a horrible person will be born to such great two people? It's tough, right? And the answer is, that the Zohar explains, Esau was not supposed to be evil in the first place. Jacob was supposed to be the juggler, the person who knows how to juggle between the right and the left, my interest and somebody else's interest, and to create a central column, and to physically manifest it. That's Jacob, and this is Jacob the healer. Esau, who was born the first, he was born, remember, what are the two angels? The good inclination is the desire to receive for the sake of sharing. Mm-hmm. That's a Jacob inside every person. But what is the Esau? We said the Esau is not necessarily evil. We get it as evil. He's not evil, he's just desire to receive by himself alone, and all your life you have to work transforming it, koshering it, making it right till finally the two angels work together, because where are you going to get the fire to make the world move? From the other angel. Esau was supposed to be that person. He had the free will. But on that crazy day, remember the stew? Mm-hmm. The lentil stew? Mm-hmm. That was their bar mitzvah. On that day, the Midrash is saying, Esau was supposed to start the fight, and he gave up. He went with the desire to receive for the self-alone, and there are 5 terrible felonies, crimes he committed on that day. He killed people. He slept with married women. He stole. There was like terrible stuff. He chose his direction. When he came, Jacob was waiting. And the story is, what do you mean Jacob was waiting? It says, Vayazed Yaakov Nazid. What's the word Nazid? Nazid means a stew. But in Hebrew it means there's another meaning also. When you want to say that somebody killed, premeditated killing, it's Retzach, murder, Bemezid, premeditated. Yaakov was meditating. He was planning how to overcome the dark side. He took upon himself the responsibility. Esau had a choice, and he chose not to. He chose not to. He chose to follow the whims. You know, it's much easier. I feel like killing, I'll kill. I feel like eating, I'll eat. I feel like doing that, I'll do it. Why? Because I feel like. That's my narrative. That's my narrative. And you can't judge me. No, of course. I'm not judging you, but you judge yourself. It's against the rules of the universe. He made his choice. This is the free will we have. The free will we have is, do you really meditate, concentrate, connect, to commit, to become light? You have to do that. No free lunches. You have to work on it. You have to make a choice. Or do you just go with what's comfortable at the moment? Right now, it's comfortable to drink. It's just comfortable. It makes me good, feel good. Yeah, but why doesn't it last more than half an hour, 2 hours? Why? Because you went against the rules. You got a high and a buy. Doesn't work. Esau chose not to take the responsibility. And therefore, when Jacob says, sell your birthright, you can't live without me. He said, what do I need the birthright for? I'm too tired. He realized he's dead already. He's finished. He sold the birthright. How do we know again? So there's another midrash. Why is Esau moving to live in Edom? You want to be the firstborn. You want the family blessing. Stay in Hebron. Yeah, you know, there's a package deal. There was a package deal. What was the package deal? When Abraham is getting the covenant with God. What was the covenant? Your children will be... The story is like this. When Abraham is asking, how would I know my children will get the Holy Land? And what's God's answer? Says Rabbi VaYishlah. It's a weird answer. You should know that your seed are going to be strangers in a foreign land. They'll be slaves for 400 years. They will be tortured. They will be enslaved. They will be stepped on. And after that, they will be redeemed and come to the land and inherit it. And Rabbi VaYishlah says, what's the connection between the question, how would I know they inherit the land, and the answer, oh, they're going to suffer dearly for that. It's very simple. No free lunches. Abraham says, I earned coming to this land. I worked so hard. I fought in the darkness. I had no idea. I fought for my truth. I lost all my savings. I lost my status in Ur where I was born. I came to such a high rank and I was thrown out and I started to be a shepherd. When people retire and rest, I started to be a shepherd. I went to Haran on the way and I realized it's not it, and I came over here. I didn't have it easy. You know what it is? You see, the parents are working so hard to establish themselves, blood, sweat, and tears for the kids. And now the kids, how would they appreciate? They were born like this. Everything is taken for granted. What a curse. What a curse. And Abraham is saying, I already reached this place. I know I got it because I bled for that place, for that holiness. But my kids, how would I know they will have the earning? And God says, yes, they'll have to be in a foreign land. They'll have to be tortured in order to overcome their egotism, selfishness, narrow-mindedness, so they can get out and earn the holiness. It's not going to be for free. When Esau knows the story, what do you think? Abraham, who raised the kids, didn't tell them the stories, didn't tell them the rules, and Esau says, you know what? Lo miduvshech velo muuktzech. What do you say to a bee? I don't want your honey, I don't want your sting. You know, I have to have a normal life. I just want to get up in the morning, drink my coffee, go to work. I don't want to fight the world. Just want to take it easy. That's called Esau. He gave up. He could have been a great human being. If he took the responsibility, he could be greater than Jacob. Because transforming the dark side, the desire to receive for the self alone, into let's conquer the world, make it better. You need that spice. He had that. He sold it to Jacob. Why? I don't want to pay the price. I want to live in a dome, have a nice place. You know, I'll carve cities in the rock. People will come and say, wow, what a great city. Okay? And Jacob was willing to pay the whole price. The whole price. So what happens? Read the story now. The Zohar is asking, what does it mean? Again, we read that verse that says, verse 3, Vehu avar lifneim, and he passed in front of them. He sees Esau, and it says, and he passed in front of them, and he bows down 7 times, till he approaches Esau. And the Zohar says, look carefully what it says over there. Rabbi Elazar opened and said, Ki lo tishtachaveh le'acher. It says clearly, do not bow down to another god. Esau is another god. The guy worships the dark side. I want to kill, I'll kill. I want to rob, I'll rob. I want to take somebody's wife because I can, I'll do it. I don't care, I just do whatever I feel like. That's my narrative, and nobody should criticize me. Okay? How dare you criticize me? That's what I want to do. It's good for me. I make the rules. There are no cosmic rules. I don't care about cosmic rules. I don't care about consequences. And I don't care about my message and not about my calling as a human being. I'm a total slave to the dark side, which is the other God. Do you think that Jacob, the best of all the patriarchs, he was a whole, complete part of God, from God, got closer to God like no one else before, more than Abraham, more than Isaac? How could he bow down to Esau? He's on the dark side. But he says, you know, he had no hope. What could you do? Still, you bow down to the other God, to the darkness. So the Zohar continues. Verse 119. Kenza the same way, VaYishtachu Yisrael el Rosh HaMitah. We jump now to Parashat Vayechi. Jacob is just before he's on his deathbed. Joseph comes to visit him. And he says that Israel is bowing down to the head of the bed. Why? Because you know when somebody is going to die, the Shekhinah, the divine presence, the Holy Spirit of God, rests at the head of the bed. That's why you're not supposed to sit there. Huh. Okay? So he bowed down to the Shekhinah. Why? He was with God, with the presence of God everywhere, because he invited it. You have to invite it, to summon it to your life. Vavkan vehu avar lifneim. He passed in front of them. Who's him? That's the God. That's God's protection. Yaakov Avinu, Jacob, He was praying to God. He didn't stop praying. You're standing in front of your brother who wants to kill you. There's nothing else in the world he wants more than to kill you and to kill whoever is connected to you. Okay, what do? You just connect to God. You just connect to the light. Why? There's nothing else to do. And the moment that happened, Kevan, that divine providence, that Shekhinah, that dwelling of the light of God, moved in front of Jacob. Vehu over lifneim, him, that light of God passed in front of Jacob and stood before Esau, between Esau and Jacob. Now what? Jacob felt at that moment there's nothing else to do but to bow down to God. He doesn't say he bowed down to Esau. He says he bowed down 7 times before approaching Esau. He has nothing else. Can you imagine? Somebody comes to me, scolds me, insults me, threatens me, and I'm just praying to God and I feel God's presence. I feel nothing else, just but God's presence in front of me, between me and that person. How do I feel? I'm in awe. I'm full. I'm protected. I'm not reactive at all. Right? I'm appreciating that force that is running the universe. And I know in that moment, no one can do to me anything that is not with the whole big picture. Whatever will happen will be the right thing. I'm not afraid at all. What do I generate? What's the energy I radiate? The light. So the sages are saying, they cried because they bit each other. Well, Rashi brings usually all of those opinions and finally brings from the Zohar, the real one. And here he says, Rashi brings Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. We know Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai says, here's Rashi really says, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai says. We know. It's a law. Esau hates Jacob. Can't change that. He will never love you. Dark people, crazy, negative, selfish people will never love you because you're nice. They just see you as a prey. They love you like, you like your cake that you eat. You can bite it and consume it and gulp it in. That's how they love you. But at that moment, the light that generated from Jacob was so strong that Esau couldn't feel nothing but compassion. And he kissed him and hugged him with all his heart. What did we say? The heart. Jacob at that moment won his heart, just for that moment. And the Zohar says something that is so, so amazing. Just think about it. You're in awe, you just generate awe to the light, to the creation, while that person is scolding you, insulting you, trying to hurt you. And you're just full and you're just glowing. What will happen now? In the Middle East, they call that majnun. You're crazy. And nobody deals with crazy people. Nobody deals with crazy people. You don't want to mess up with that. And in that moment, the light really takes over. Truth really takes over. Even for the moment. And you'll be saved. How we'll be saved? I don't know. Doesn't matter. You're saved just a moment. You're, instead of being darkness, part of the darkness yourself, because when you're hating, when you're afraid, what's the difference between you, that you're reactive, and the person that attacks you? Both are angry, upset, and in the darkness. What's the difference between you and him? But I'm right. He thinks he's right too. So what? We're not here to be right. We're here to be the light. And the Zohar says more than that. When Jacob was bowing down to Esau, Esau felt pride. And that moment that he felt pride, Jacob really knocked him off his feet. Because when a person is full of pride, he's nothing but practical anymore. But something bigger than happened. Remember, Esau was supposed to be greater than Jacob?
Mm-hmm.
Which means he had like these huge levels waiting for him, because with them he could conquer the world and make it better. But he gave it up because he did not want to pay the price.
Right.
The Zohar says the moment Jacob is bowing down, he was taking those levels from Esau, one by one, 7 levels. And the Zohar says if Esau knew what Jacob is doing to him, he would kill himself just not to reach that place. Kill himself. But he had no idea. He was already mixed up enough. Jacob took from him those levels that Esau gave up, but they were still his. He took it away from him. What's the next stage? God calls Jacob and says, your name is not going to be Jacob anymore. Your name is Israel. So Jacob ceased to exist? No. We still pray to the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob. Why? These are programs that we need to activate within ourselves. But Jacob passed to another level. Now he has not just the Jacob, he has also the power of Esau that Esau gave up, because he was not willing to pay the price. Jacob was willing to pay the price for his share and for Esau's share, because he had nothing else in mind but to make the world better. And what was the price? He didn't care. Paying the price. I'll pay the price. Whatever it takes to make the world better, I'll pay the price. There's a legend that says when Esau and Jacob were born, they were twins. Leah and Rachel were born, they were also twins. Everybody knew Rachel is for Jacob, Leah is for Esau. But when we go to the cosmology of the Zohar, Rachel belongs to the divine presence, the Shekhinah, when it's here and it can be touched and seen. Okay? And therefore, of course, when Jacob was Jacob, who was his soulmate? Rachel. But the moment he won those levels from Esau, he becomes Israel. Israel is not the heel. Israel is the letters of the word Li Rosh. I've got the head. I'm at the head. He jumped from the heel to the head. Now that's supervising and controlling everything. Not just this. In the word Israel, you have Aleph for Abraham and Sin for Sarah. You have Yud for Yitzchak and Resh for Rivka. Mm-hmm. You have Yud for Yaakov, Resh for Rachel, and Lamed for Leah. Israel is encompassing everything. Now, when you're studying Kabbalah, you're studying there's a Partzuf Leah and Partzuf Israel. Partzuf is a whole complete structure of lights and sphirot. Rachel is the Partzuf of the physical world. Leah is of the upper world, the real high world of every light. Who's the soulmate of Rachel? Yaakov. But who's the soulmate of Leah? Supposedly Esav, but he lost it. Mm. So after Yaakov becomes Israel, who is his soulmate? Now it's Leah. Rachel finished her job. She gives birth immediately after to Binyamin. 12 tribes are being complete. And Rachel is assuming position as the manifestation of the Shekhinah, the divine presence in the physical world. And she's buried where? On the highway, where everybody can pass by and touch and see and connect, because that's in this world. That's why Every Jew calls her Mama Rochel, Rachel Imenu, Rachel, my mother, our mother. Not Rachel the matriarch. Nobody calls it like this. Rachel Imenu, our mother. Why? Because you feel it's like, but you have a mother. No, she's always my mother. That's a mother, the mother type, that the feel of the motherly love of God when it's manifesting here in this physical world. This is called, that feel, that manifestation is called Rachel Imenu. Okay? And that is exactly in the practical. But now Yaakov is not Yaakov anymore. He's Yaakov. He created that consciousness of Yaakov. Now he is a chariot of Israel. Mm-hmm. Israel means taking upon yourself, you assume position, the responsibility. Changing the world. I have nothing else to do with it, but change the world. I'm willing to pay the price. I'm willing to have all of those moments to overcome and to become better. You know what? You want to win any kind of prize in sports, you have to put blood, sweat, and tears. Same thing in business. Same thing is in family affairs. Everything. You're not willing to pay the price, no pain, no gain. You want to make the world better, you have to assume position. That's called Israel. And Jacob takes that power. And the Zohar says, you know, that's coming from Proverbs. Im ra'ev sona'acha achileo lechem ki gechalim ata chote al rosho. When your enemy is hungry, feed him with bread. Because by this, it's like you are throwing heart-burning charcoals on his head. He says, what? What does it mean? It says like this. When you come to a person that is not negative, with compassion and love, with a lot of love, two things can happen. One, you awaken that love of light and God and awareness inside the person, and he wakes up and he joins you in the journey. Rabbi Shimon is saying in that moment, you turn his status from Tov lo shelo nivra ba'olam, it's better he was not created, because he's dead. Because evil people are dead people. They're not alive. You know, they just want it easy. I just do whatever I feel like comfortable and I won't do any more than that. You're dead. You're dead. And when you suffer, you blame the whole world and you become even more bitter and more negative and more hateful. Because you have no commitment. And whatever happens to you, you blame. One finger towards the other person, one finger to God. How did you allow him to do that? I'm angry about you too. And three, the majority says, take responsibility. I don't want to take responsibility. It's better he was not born, because everything he goes through is upset and negative and hateful towards the whole world. He never has a real joy in his life. But if you wake him up, says the Zohar, it's like you created him. He's now into the real game. He's committed. Who made him be committed? You did. It's like you created him. All the gates in heaven will open to you. Why? Because you took a place of darkness and you made it the land of God, the place of God. But what if with all the love and the affection and energy and caring and whatever that you put on that person, he still doesn't want to commit. He still doesn't want to do anything good. Then all the good sparks in him will stick to you, and all the negative sparks in you will stick to him. He'll be totally dead, and you'll be totally alive. Which means there's no reason to be nasty to anyone. Even if you just think about your own private, egocentric interest. Just be kind to people. Because that's committing to make the world better. Oh, there are more things to do, but for today, it's enough. Thank you so much and have a great week.